Hi, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to just be showing a little bit of using protective film for paint. This stuff was really designed for automobiles. Works on any painted surface. This is by 3M. It's a film, comes in a roll. I'll put a link in the description down below to where you can buy it. I like to protect parts of the bike. Primarily, I'll show you this close up. There's a piece here on the tank on each side where my Motoport Kevlar riding pants rub, and they will take the clear coat right off of that. It'll start showing right away. I've got film on here. Any place where your passenger might contact it, it's their feet hit the saddlebag or their feet hit down here around the floorboard. Up here, my wife's Kevlar pants rub on the top of the saddlebag, so I've got this protected as well. So first of all, the things you need to do this job. 3M recommends that you wax the surface before you put this on. It'll make it easier eventually when you take it off. They suggest 3M wax and of course 3M. 3M to me everybody has an opinion on wax. 3M is an excellent company. They don't make any junk. They make really high quality products. I've always used 3M wax. And so first, because now I have this covered up here, but I need this strip down here covered because her boots, when they sit on the saddlebag, kick over against this. So any place you can contact the paint, I want protected. This has some odd bends in it. This stuff is, the more bending you have to do, the more difficult it is to get it on and get the wrinkles out of it. Let me continue. The other things that you need along with this process, you need wax. Obviously you need the 3M protective film. You may want a tape measure, a pen to mark. I use paper to make a pattern, just some regular printer paper, and I am not good at measuring and cutting. In fact, I'm horrible at measuring and cutting. So I have a standard that's called good enough. I will make a rough pattern of this, then I will have to trim it as I go along before I put it on. So also, you need a pair of scissors for cutting the pattern and for cutting the film. This is a squeegee. It's also by 3M, and you can use a credit card. This is a little bit flexible. I think I know it was less than $10, and it works perfect. And the first time I did this, I think I used a credit card, and I finally, broke down and spent the $10 and bought the squeegee, and it works. It's far superior. It works much better. You need some soapy water. So this is just dish soap in a bottle of water that makes it really slick, and I'll show you why that is so important. Doesn't have to be a lot of soap in it, but if I shake this up, it'll foam the whole bottle full. So it's got a little bit of water, a little bit of dish soap, and that's really critical. Now I've already got an existing piece of plastic on here that I did earlier, and it runs I gotta find the seam, here it is. It runs at an angle right down here because I was just trying to protect the upper part. So this isn't gonna fit perfectly, and I'm not gonna try to make it fit perfectly. I'm not gonna make it match up because that would be impossible for me to do. I'm going to start cutting a very rough pattern. So I've got a little too much paper here. I can't measure. I can't cut a straight line. This little area is going to be difficult, I can tell, because it's got two bends in it. I'm mainly concerned about this area right here where I've seen that her boot hits. Let's cut out some plastic and see if it fits. Because I'm always working with plastic that film that I've been cutting on already, it's hard to find a square edge. As you can see back here, pieces I've cut out before. So this little piece of pattern fits pretty well on the end of what was the end of the roll, so it's pretty square. And like I said, this is a roughed in job. So I'm going to cut this pattern out as close as I can. And then we'll take this piece of film out and we'll probably trim it up a little bit more once we hold it up against there. So let's do some cutting. Eventually, in fact, maybe I'll do it now, but I round the corners off of these. Square corners are a little more prone to lifting up or hooking on things, or when you're washing the bike. So I typically just round off the corners. Not a big deal, but that's my method. Matched up to this pattern. Yeah, it's not precise. I wouldn't hire me to do this work, but it's good enough. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the size. I'm going to round off these corners. If this had to be precise, I'd be hiring someone to do it. Or I just wouldn't be doing it at all. The next part's the hard part. It's not hard to put it on, and if you use the soapy water correctly, it gives you a lot of time to work with it before the glue gets tacky and sticks. But working out the wrinkles for an amateur like me is the difficult part. So I've waxed that, I cleaned it, I waxed it. I'm going to take my soapy water, my little soapy water bottle, and first I'm going to get all of this wet and slick. So put it on both hands. So these don't stick. And it's amazing to me the strength of the adhesive on the back of this film, but once you get it with soapy water, it's like there's no adhesive at all. So I'm going to peel this off, make sure it's covered in soapy water, and make sure my fingers stay covered. I'm just going to rub it all across the film so there is nothing sticky on there anymore. Once I apply this, I can slide it around. In fact, it's slicker than I care for. Because once you get it in place, you start trying to work the wrinkles out. You need the adhesive to start getting tacky. Roughly working in the shape and keep moving it back, because every time you touch it, it slides around. Start trying to get some of these curves in. This has a really awkward curve to it in the front. And this is going to be really difficult to work this thing out without it having a final wrinkle in it. In fact, I cannot guarantee that I'm not going to have a wrinkle in the end of it. Because there's soapy water underneath this film, it stays really slick. And so what we're going to do is start trying to work the soapy water out of it. And once it comes out, it becomes very tacky. And there's a fine line between getting all of your bubbles out and all of your wrinkles out and still being able to move it a little bit until the tack starts to set up, because once it sets up, you're done. It helps to keep some soapy water on your fingers on the outside of the plastic so it stays slick, so I can keep stroking it like this and trying to push the bubbles and the wrinkles out. My squeegee and put some soapy water on it. Make sure it's on both sides and gets more back on my fingers. And as I start doing this, I'll find that I'm moving the whole piece of plastic and getting it out of play. I'm completely out of play. But as I do this, I'm squeezing very fine amounts of soapy water out from behind the plastic. I don't know if you can see that soap squeeze up out of there. I wound up with a tiny defect right there on that, and I knew that was going to be the problem. And it's got, I worked on it as long as I could before it set up, and I could not get that out. I don't think anybody's going to notice it, but I'm going to always know it's there. Anyway, 3M, great stuff. Thanks for watching.